Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Corner 3 here on Pittsburgh Sports Live. As always, I'm Cale, Berger, joined by Chris Mueller and joined by a very special guest, Robert Morris University head coach Andy Toole, entering his 10th season as head coach. Coach Toole, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
So we're here at the UPMC Events Center, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this beautiful new arena you guys have here. Tell me a little bit, did you think at one point that this wasn't going to happen?
Yeah, a lot of times I thought this wasn't going to happen. I think when we first sat down and we tried to visualize what this would be and put a plan in place, it seemed like such a long shot that it would actually occur. And then, along the way, we hit some important milestones where you think, okay, this is definitely happening, and then you hit bumps in the road where you sit there and say, I don't know. And so to see the construction begin about 2 years ago now and to be able to see what it's become, I think is a great source of pride for me and for our program, and I think for the university as well. It's an amazing facility. It's a gorgeous place to come watch a game, to watch a sporting event, to watch a concert, and I think it really has the ability to help transform the perception of Robert Morris University and grow its name brand and its recognition.
And I feel like there's not a bad seat in the house here.
I was just going to say that.
We were walking around, and it's like any place you sit, you can see a perfect view of the court. But also, how has it been for the players? They're coming from the Sewell Center, some of that, and then the Student Rec Center where you guys were practicing. How do you feel it's been for this team, to finally get in here and not only hear the weight room, the locker room, and everything that's come along with it?
It's the first time in my time here, 10 years as a head coach, 13 years overall, where we've had everything in the same building. And so I think just their day-to-day experience is so much better. They have every amenity that you would need in order to be as successful as you can, whether it's weight room, whether it's training room space, locker room space, practice court, game court, academic space, coaches' offices. All of those things are readily available to them, and it's all one-stop shopping. You walk in the building and you can do all the things you need to do to have a productive day before you leave here. And I think it's their experience has been increased tenfold because of the building.
And how does this impact recruiting as well, having a new facility like this?
Well, obviously, Division I athletics, a lot of it is an arms race, and facilities play a big part in the whole recruiting experience. I think every recruit we ever have asks, do I have 24-hour access to the gym? I don't know anyone's ever been here 24 hours, but I think that is part of the deal. And I think when you come in this building and you can envision, obviously we'll see very soon what a home court advantage and a home court atmosphere will be like. I think those are the kind of environments that people want to be in. And like you said, not a bad seat in the house. Everybody's right on top of you with the scoreboard and the video boards and the sound systems. I think it's going to be really a dynamic place to play our home games.
And that first game coming up, University of Pittsburgh, you're going to bring a local team in here, a Power 5 school. There's going to be a lot of excitement, not only for, with this university, but the entire college basketball scene in Pittsburgh. How excited are you for game number 1? How did that kind of come about with you and Jeff Cale? What was that process like in terms of getting them to come in here? Haven't played Pitt, in your tenure, I don't think, and just, that's coming up. That's game number 1. It's finally here. How exciting is that?
We probably haven't played them since maybe 2010 or 2011. We played them down at the Pete, and we were looking for somebody to come in and help us open the building, right? You've seen North Carolina do it a couple times. You've seen some other Power 5 schools go on the road, play somewhere to open an arena and really make it a festive atmosphere. And so we reached out to some people in the area, and at first I think there was a little hesitancy, and then as the conversation continued on, Heather Light became involved, and she was a driver in kind of making it happen. And Coach Cale was very was awesome in agreeing to do it. Obviously, it'll be a nationally televised game and a great opportunity for our university. I wish he wasn't having them play as well as he was, and trying to get them going a little bit, because obviously I think they're certainly on the upswing, and the job he's doing has been tremendous. But it'll be a great event to open this building, and I think, like you said, it'll be a great event for the Pittsburgh college basketball sports scene, which sometimes is a little dormant until football season's over. So it'd be nice to kind of let everybody know that the season's here.
As you look at your team now for this season, you're trying to replace Maddie McConnell and Malik Petaway. Not only their on-court leadership, but replacing their production as well. How do you think that process is going to go, especially early on?
Well, I think each and every year is a new experience, and you're trying to make sure that the guys that you believe need to take a step up can step up. And I think we've seen guys step up, whether it's Josh Williams, whether it's Charles Bain, Yanis Mendy, John Williams, some guys that started for us last year, and then Dante Treacy and some guys that came off our bench, starting to kind of do a little bit more, understand a little bit more, and then trying to ingrain the new guys into that. And I think it's always a process at this point in time. I think our guys are understanding as much as they can understand right now about how important the details of things are. Obviously, your new guys sometimes are a little bit behind that because they haven't been in those environments, right? They've been in a practice environment. They haven't been in that game environment where you feel a little bit uncomfortable. The game's moving a little bit faster than maybe you're ready for. And so, we want to make sure we're bringing those guys along, having them understand as quickly as possible about why we are coaching what we're coaching, why we're harping on certain things that can really hurt you if you don't go out and perform them with urgency and intensity.
And you touched on the Williams brothers, specifically. They're guys who have been around. Now Josh sat out when he came from Akron. Where do you focus on getting them to improve? They have their specific facets of the game that they do well. Josh is a scorer, John a facilitator, kind of that point guard guy. Where have you focused especially on them too, because they're going to be key cogs this season, on getting them to maybe round out their game?
Well, I think there's always areas where you can challenge guys to get better at. And Josh, we know his shooting and scoring ability. He's probably going to have less time this year to get some of those shots off than he did last year. So the challenge is, can he be a little bit more ready? Can he be a little bit more aggressive on his catches? So now all of a sudden, if he has that 1-2 foot cushion, he's able to get it off. I've already said to him on a number of occasions, like, if you have 2 or 3 feet on somebody, like, you have to let it fly. I don't know if we're going to get a better, higher percentage shot than that during the course of our possessions, right? One of the challenges that he has is, maybe assist to turnover ratio, right? Being smarter with the basketball, continuing to allow us to have positive possessions. Where we've really been on John and even Dante Treacy is to be more aggressive in the scoring role.
Right.
I don't know if you can be a guard in today's Division I basketball and not be looking to score the ball, whether it's penetration to the rim, whether it's catching and shooting, right? Because that opens up all of the other avenues that you have. So now if I go to the basket to score and I draw the help, well, now my natural talent as a facilitator or a passer can shine. If I go to the basket and I'm looking to pass, I never can flip it and score it. And so we've been really talking to them about how many shot attempts they're getting up per practice, how many times they're touching the paint, are they catching ready to shoot the ball on the perimeter, right? Now we want all those shots to be good in the context of what we're doing. It's not just, hey, just chuck something up because you haven't shot in a while, but you have to have that scoring mindset to be able to score. And then I think the more aggressive they're looking to score, the more open some of their passing will become.
What do you like about this year's team specifically? A lot of new faces, a new recruiting class, some new faces that have come in, and one of the better recruiting classes you guys have had in recent memory. What do you like about those new guys that have added to this team?
I think they've added a competitiveness. I think a lot of guys are, they're still figuring it out, right? But AJ Brahma and Jalen Hawkins and DJ Russell and Sean Washington, they like to play, right? They don't always understand why we're doing some of the drills that we're doing or how they're going to carry over into the game.
Sure.
But they like to play. They want to compete, right? And I think they have a belief that they can play. And I think that that's good when you come into an environment where, we have maybe some more experience than we've had in a number of years, right? We have some guys that have been in the program now that are juniors, that are seniors, that have played a ton of minutes. And now you add a mix of guys that are competitive and want to win, if everybody can kind of get together and get on the same page, now all of a sudden you have a lot of positive things going in your direction. And so when you have new guys come in, you want them to feel like they want to get on the court and they want to perform and they want to play and they want to show what they can do, because it only just increases the competitiveness of your day-to-day practice. And I think we've seen that.
What goes into infusing them really into the Robert Morris culture? I mean, there's obviously, there's going to be pushback one way or another. Some players are not. I was at the open practice on Saturday morning, and you're trying to get these guys infused. Whether it's AJ Brahma, you're trying to get him to play at the intensity level that the expectation of your program. How long does that transition take, do you feel? Is it player by player? And as a coach, what are some of the things that you have to do to get them really on the same page as you?
I think it's definitely player by player, right? And I think, there's, whether they're returners, whether they're newcomers, whether whomever they are, people have good days and bad days as well. And I think the idea is when you're not having the day or you're not playing the way that we know is at the level you're going to need to, or you're not bringing the mental focus that you need to, it needs to be talked about, right? It needs to be called out. It needs to be exposed. You can't just say, okay, hey, no big deal, we'll see you tomorrow, right? There's no growth in that, because you come back and you just basically do the same thing. And I think a lot of times it comes through not only on-court coaching, consistency in the coaching, it also comes through the off-court conversations, right? Like, hey, what happened today? Where was your mind at today? What time did you go to bed last night, right? Some of those questions that you have to try and get into to say, all right, if you want to be a really big part of this, if you want to help us become the best team we can be, you've got to be more consistent on a daily basis. You've got to understand the detail. Here's why, because this is one of the things that's changed in coaching as well. It's not always just do it because I said so, right? Why is this going to help us? My man didn't score. Okay, well, it's not a one-on-one game, it's a 5-on-5 game.
Exactly.
And do you have the ability now to not only defend your man properly, but then help your teammates defend theirs, right? Because we all don't want a basket to be scored. And conversely, offensively as well. Hey, are you in the right spot offensively? Did you make the right decision? Did you cut with the right pace? All those things, I think, not everybody, especially when they walk into a college campus, are fully understanding of. Because maybe at their whatever level they were at, junior college or high school, they could get the ball and get everybody out of the way, and I'm just going to go score on you because I'm better.
Exactly.
Well, now those things aren't necessarily as easy as everyone wants to believe that they are, and so there's got to be some understanding, some work, some communication to kind of make those things go.
Charles Bain, he's going to be an important guy for you this season. He came in as more of a raw, underdeveloped prospect, but he's really grown. How has he grown over the last few years?
He's grown a lot. Obviously, I think when we brought him in, we knew he had great size and he could really shoot it. He's kind of diversified his game a little bit. He's become so much better defensively. He's become so much better on the backboards. He's worked to really become more aggressive and more physical on both ends of the floor. I think when he was a freshman here, he kind of shied away from some of those moments, and now he's not afraid to put his chest there, to step in and take the charge, to hit somebody on a box out, to set the right screen. So I think those are things that have been part of his development. He's a guy that we're going to need to shoot the ball frequently and shoot it at a high percentage. Offensively, I think what we continually talk to him about is like how can he know the offense inside out, back to front, sideways, whatever.
Yeah.
So that he is now running offense at a clip where he's constantly putting pressure on the defense with his ability to shoot and his understanding of how to move and where to be. But he can be a guy that we're going to rely on for hopefully double-digit scoring this year as we did last year.
Bain's an impressive story, just coming from the Bahamas and how he's had to transition into American culture and everything. But just going back to that recruiting class, AJ Brahma and DJ Russel, transfers you're bringing in, they 2 years of eligibility. They're really looking to do some good things in the front court. What do you like about their game specifically? I know, and how high are their ceilings? AJ, I know he's a highly touted prospect, and he really, I feel the potential to do some good things, but his potential is only potential until you act upon it.
Yeah. Having potential and have potential are two opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And AJ's he's done really well in all of our some close scrimmages. He's done well in our inter squad scrimmages. He's shown a lot, and he's a playmaker. He's a guy who's always around the ball, can really rebound, super athlete. He's attacking, he's aggressive. He's trying to make plays on the floor, right? I think the more he understands where everybody else is on the floor, the more he'll be able to make plays. If I understand what's going on around me, now I know where my driving lanes are. I know where my opportunity is. I know where there might not be help, right? So I think that's some of the adjustment that he's trying to make. DJ's a guy who's really, really strong in and around the basket. Finishes with both hands. He can rebound the basketball. His challenge now is working on the defensive side. Okay, what are my ball screen coverages? How am I communicating? By doing some of those things that I think at times he was in a system in his junior college where they really just it was run and gun, right?
Yeah.
It was they were trying to score 100 points a game. They were trying to speed people up. So now, can I sit down in the half court? Can I really defend? Can I stay locked in? Can I continue to be in the right spots, each pass, each dribble, whatever it is?
Right.
But he has, like I said, really good touch and feel around the basket. The speed of the game is something that he's still adjusting to, but I think both of them have very high ceilings. I expect both of them to be heavy in the rotation and to be really productive pieces for us.
One more player I just want to touch on out of that class is Elisa. I watched him play at a All-Star game I think it was last February, with a bunch of Power Fives, conference recruits, and he was one of the best players on the floor. High ceiling. He comes from Nigeria, but he's really you could tell he was raw and underdeveloped. How has he been, in this transition to the program, and where do you really see him fitting in? What has he done well? What does he need to improve upon?
Yeah, he's been up and down. And I'll be honest with our viewers or listeners or whatever we got here. He's been up and down. His ceiling is high. This is only his 5th year playing basketball, so this is a lot. When you're talking about terminology, when you're talking about the communication, when you're talking about the day-to-day consistency that it takes. He's had some great moments in practice, or whether it's a block shot, whether it's a great rebound, whether it's a sprint of the floor, and you're like, man, this guy just jumps off the page at you with some of those intangibles and some of the physical gifts that he has, right? And now can he bring the focus every day? Can he be engaged every day? Can he work at the level you need to work in order to improve? And I think that's always the decision that guys have to make, because sometimes at lower levels they can get by with less work, and now all of a sudden you have to be the best version of yourself. And so now, hey, every day I'm coming to compete with 4 guys that probably know a little bit more than I do, maybe a little more polished than I am, and how am I going to respond to that? When he's engaged, he responds very well. When he's not as engaged, there's struggles, right? And so I think that's his biggest challenge as he comes on board, as he starts to figure all this stuff out. But again, the more work you do, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out, and I think he's starting to figure that out.
A decade here as the head coach of the Colonials. How do you feel like you've changed in entering your 10th year now as head coach?
Well, I'm thankful they've let me be around for 10 years. It's amazing how quickly it's gone by. It's amazing how much progress has been made, over the 13 years total that I've been here. So many changes at the university. I think as you get a little bit older and you get a little more secure in kind of your coaching style, you understand the battles to fight and maybe not the battles to fight. You understand, when enough is enough. You understand, maybe sometimes, grabbing somebody and pulling them aside is just as effective as, getting on them. So I think you learn each and every year. I think each group is different. You try and learn maybe how to teach better. Hey, did I explain that great? Maybe I can do a better job of explaining that so that guys understand it. There are different ways, different people to deliver the same message. So having a strong staff like we do is awesome. Allowing them maybe to jump in and handle it because it's going to maybe come across a little better than if I delivered it myself. All those things you start to learn. And in fact, I actually talked to Coach Cale about this last year because he was a head coach at 27 or whatever he was, and I was a head coach at 29, and we were laughing together saying we had no idea what we were doing, right? And now 10 years in, you still don't know exactly what you're doing, but you have a better idea and a better path that you think you can go down.
All right, and the team's slotted 5th in the NEC preseason polls. You made the semifinals of the conference tournament 12 out of 13 seasons. What do you like about the NEC this season? Really competitive, I think, top to bottom, especially I'd say 1 through 5. So looking into the conference, what do you like about it?
I think it's deeper than 1 through 5. I think LIU and Sacred Heart, really talented rosters, a lot of returners. St. Francis PA obviously has been super competitive returner player of the year, and Keith Braxton,
the rival.
And then FDU was the defending champ,
right?
And the team that we lost to last year on their home court in the semifinal. And we've got to figure out how to make the next jump. We've been in those semifinal games the last few years and have had close losses, but can we make the next jump? The last 3 years have been hard to swallow, being in those semis and kind of coming up a little bit short, a possession here, a possession there, and it's a lot of the stuff that we've talked to our guys about. We thought last year at the end you could probably equate our conference season to maybe single-digit possessions that if we can have back, maybe there'd be a different ending, right? Maybe it's us hosting a semifinal game instead of going on the road, right? And how valuable those things are. So we're looking to get a little bit better. I think the league will be as good as it's been in a few years because there are some rosters with some more veteran guys. And I think some guys that are really doing a great job, whether it's Jared Grosso at Bryant, Dan Engelstad at Mount St. Mary's, 2 new coaches to the league that are really trying to push their programs ahead. And I think it's going to be as competitive as ever in the NEC, and hoping we're up to the challenge.
Well, it should be an exciting season for the Robert Morris Colonials, and thank you to head coach Andy Toole for joining us.
My pleasure.
Come check out Robert Morris. Come check out the UPMC Events Center. It's a phenomenal facility.
Beautiful.
And check us out next week on another edition of The Corner 3 on Pittsburgh Sports Live.